Good afternoon, everyone. We're about ready to start the North Carolina NEVI Industry Webinar number 1. If you just hold on a minute, we will go ahead and get started. Give it a little more time for people to join us. We had more people register than are currently on, so I just want to give people just an extra minute after the hour. Okay, to be respectful of everyone's time, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Heather Hildebrand, and we are here to discuss the North Carolina NEVI Industry Webinar number 1. With me today, I also have Paula Hemmer, who is part of my team. This webinar will walk through the resources and the new webpage that we have developed to help walk you through or specifically work on the application for the North Carolina NEVI program. The NEVI program is providing North Carolina with $109 million to build out our EV corridors along the federally designated alternative fuel corridors in North Carolina. We have already released a GIS-based map of 11 areas, which we call clusters, where we are requesting applications to be built out. We expect that there will be one DC fast charging station with 4 ports at least built at each of these 11 clusters. As most of you know, North Carolina DOT has been developing this RFP since last summer, and we are about ready to release it. Next slide.
Oh, sorry. I have to get my mouse onto that screen. There we go.
The purpose of this webinar is to prepare you for the RFP release by 1, showing you the new revamped NEVI RFP application website, demonstrating how you can download the RFP materials and submit your application package, and informing you on how you can ask questions about the RFP once released, as well as downloading any responses to those questions. We will also walk through other resources that you may find useful, including the mapping that is currently up on the NEVI website. If you have any questions during this presentation, please enter them in the chat box. While we will not be answering questions live today, we will be sending an email out with all answers to anyone who registered for the webinar. Note, we cannot take questions about the content of the RFP at this time, just the webinar or general NEVI questions. Next slide. So North Carolina DOT, in preparation for submission of the RFP applications, has redesigned our NEVI website. The current website focuses mostly on information about NEVI in general, our plan. The new website will focus on the RFP application process and have more functionality than the current website. Therefore, there is a new link. This new link will not go live until the RFP is released, but the link to the new website has been pasted into the chat box. There will be 3 ways to get to this new web page. One is you can either copy the new URL provided in the chat box, use the current link, which will redirect you to the new site, or go to NCDOT's website and type in NEVI, N-E-V-I. Next slide. This slide shows you what the new revamped website will look like. It's going to, again, go live when the RFP is issued. So as you see on this website, there is an image with an introduction saying the round 1 request for proposals is now open. Beneath that, you will see currently 7 additional buttons. You will need to periodically go to this website to get updates as changes may occur. Currently, there are only 7 buttons. However, there is an 8th button that may appear. Right now, we're going to go ahead and go through these buttons one by one. So the first button is the Download NEVI RFP Document button. When you click this button, it will automatically download to your download folders these 9 attachments that are shown here to the right. We will go through these documents in more detail during the North Carolina NEVI industry webinar number 2, which will be held a week after the RFP is released. Next slide. The next button is the download RFP addendums. If you were looking, you would notice that this button does not currently exist on the web page. And this is because we currently do not have any addendums. However, once addendums are created, that button will be added, and then you will be directed to download any addendums. If we have to make any changes to the RFP to either clarify language or to correct any of the RFP documents, the addendum button will become live, and it will be the applicant's responsibility to download and read all addendums, sign an acknowledgement that you have read the addendums, and submit this application with your RFP package. As noted previously, it is the applicant's responsibility to periodically check the website for any addendums. And with this, I will turn it over to Paula to discuss the next few buttons.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Upload Complete Applications document that I will be going through. This is 2 slides, but it's all the same form. So this button opens up an NCDOT form similar to the Contact Us form. The form first asks for your business information and the cluster name. These 2 fields will create a folder on NCDOT's web server. That folder will be where all your documents end up on our server. So the cluster name is a drop-down box, so you would just click on that drop-down box on the cluster for which you're applying. It also asks for personal information for the contact person that NCDOT will contact if we have questions or issues with your application. All right, the form also provides an attachment checklist. So these are all the possible attachments you may need for your application. So when you are getting ready to apply, you can click on this button and make sure before applying that you have all of these attachments. Part 2 of this form looks like this. And so this is all part of the same form. This form gives information, this part of the form gives information on the files that can be uploaded. This includes the limit on the total file size of 50 megabytes. So that's the combined total for the slides, for the files. The maximum number of files that you can upload is 10. You are allowed to zip files so that you can meet that maximum number. It also discusses the allowable file types, including PDFs and JPEGs, and there is an Excel spreadsheet that you will need to upload, and of course, as we said earlier, zip files. All the files are attached at and uploaded at one time. Therefore, we are recommending that you put all of your files into one folder on your computer so everything is readily available when you get to this step. You just click on all the files at once and hit the choose file button, click on all the files you want uploaded at one time, and they will appear in this space here so that you can see them. After you do that, you select this box that says that you've read all the RFPs and you've done all your homework for this application, and then you would hit the submit button. There's also information on contacting us if you are having problems completing the form. And also there is some information about if you wish to withdraw or amend or withdraw and amend the form, the application. You must notify us by using this contact us button to do that, and put in the title of the form withdraw/amend in your submission to that contact us. This is the contact us form. This form is used for multiple parts of the RFP. The first is to ask a clarifying question on the documents itself, and in this question comment, The first line is RFP document, the RFP section number, and the RFP page number, so we know what your question refers to. If perhaps you are asking about submission issues with your application, you would just add the field application submission issues to this and then type in your issues. If you have to withdraw and amend your application, you should put that in the first line and then type in the information that we need as well. And of course, put your name, email, and phone number in this form. So this form is used for multiple purposes, so we need you to add the information we requested to help us understand what your issue is and funnel it to the correct person. Okay. Another thing is that we suggest that you review all of the documents in the RFP before submitting questions, because your question may be answered in a later document. So we suggest that you all read the entire RFP first. Let's move on to how you get answers to questions. This is pretty simple. You click on the you click on this button to get responses to submitted questions, and it downloads a form. We will collect all questions during the week and answer them, and then on Fridays we will post all of the answers that we have in time for Friday in the afternoon. So this is an example of the type of form we will use. You'll have a question and a response and any action that we take. The questions cannot contain business confidential information that are submitted to be put on this form. And as I said earlier, we're going to post whether we're taking any action based on the question, including whether or not we need to amend one of the RFPs, and then we would issue an addendum if that happened. So this would tell you if there's any addendums that you need to read as well. The next button is our NEVI program resources for applicants. This button gives you all of the information that you need in conjunction with all of the RFP documents. This list, there's a list of reference documents, and it's very important, and we suggest that you save this information and refer to it as needed. The first section provides links to all the NEVI rules and guidance issued to date. That's down here. The second part lists in a similar fashion all of the federal laws and regulations that you would need to access. It also includes information on designing charging stations for disabled customers and the federal data reporting tool that we will be using that the Joint Office of DOE and DOT developed called EV Chart. It also gives information on Buy American and the Justice 40 program. So this is a very important document. Lastly, it includes information that is linked on our current website, including the networking database and the GIS mapping and information about the mapping, including a list of exits, a federal tool in Excel format to help you find who the utility provider is for a given zip code, and email addresses for all of the utility contacts to find out who to talk to about charging stations in the area in which you're applying. Okay. The next button is the GIS map. I'm hoping that everybody is already familiar with this map. It provides the specific stretches along the alternative fuel corridors where we plan to construct the stations. The NEVI rules require DOT to have charging stations every 50 miles. Note that we are in the process of updating our street level mapping of the 1 mile drive shed, which we'll see in a minute. We expect to post this data in a few minutes. And I'm in early this week. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I got to turn that off. We will now go through the functionality of the maps, if you have not figured it out by now. So this is what you see when you open up the maps. You can see this is the large area of North Carolina that you can zoom in on, and you can see each individual cluster, the 11 clusters that we've posted for applications. You can zoom in on specific areas or using this function, or you can just click on on one of these clusters. If you go to the right here, you can see all of the other clusters that are not posted right now. So you can zoom in on a specific area closer. Let's move on to what that looks like. So this is when you pick a cluster, it zooms into this level. All of the maroon lines are the drive sheds, the 1 mile distance that would meet the NEVI requirement to be within 1 mile of the AFC. That's all the maroon lines that you see. Also up here is the turn on and off layers button. When you click on that, you get different layers, including, let me go through that on the next slide. So in this one, I've turned on these are some of the different map layers. This one is very important. It's disadvantaged communities, which you may want to look at to see if your cluster is close to a disadvantaged community. Also the flood zone. This is the 100-year floodplain maps that DOT has put together. So you can see these floodplains have been added to the map. Also, there is, the floodplain has a legend over here. So these legends show up as well. Okay, let me go to the last slide here. The last slide, if you zoom in close enough, you can see street level data as well as buildings and the flood mapping. So this is very useful. When you zoom in, you can see, potentially which facilities might be a good site host if they have, parking lot. These are obviously more industrial facilities over here, so that you can see different types of facilities that might be available in a given region of the cluster. So hopefully you figured out some of that functionality by playing with the maps, but we wanted to make sure that you all had it so that everybody had a good starting point for looking at the maps. And now we go back to Heather.
And I will take myself off of mute. So the last button that you will see on the new web page is the NEVI program information. And this is a lot of the information that has already existed on our current web page. So you will see a timeline of important dates. This will show you not only the RFP release date, but also future webinars that we plan to have an industry webinar number 2, which will be 1 week after the RFP is being released, that will walk through the RFP documents so that it's very clear to you how to fill out or what we need information-wise to evaluate all projects. It also will let you learn about the program as a whole on the national level, or to be able to download the North Carolina NEVI implementation plan. Next slide. So with this concludes our presentation of the NEVI RFP website revamp. We hope that the process and web sources are going to be clear to you at this point. So just as a reminder, some of the technologies that we have for you is the mapping. We also have the networking database. Those are 2 resources that I highly encourage you to look at as we prepare for the RFP being released, hopefully by Monday, bright and early. So, look at your, not only the clusters that are available in your area, but also start making those connections if you have not, and finding out the utilities that you need to be working with. We have in the chat box the link to the new website that will be live come Monday. We also have a link to the YouTube where you can be able to watch this video again if you need to. There, again, just to remind you one more time that we will be having a second presentation 1 week following the RFP released. This is going to give you an opportunity to review all those documents, to be prepared to ask questions, or be prepared to understand, to walk through them and if prepare any questions. However, this will be a recorded webinar. We will not be answering questions about the webinar, or excuse me, about the RFP, other than through the mechanism that Paula outlined by submitting a question and posting responses. So we thank you for the interest in the NEVI program in North Carolina, and we look forward to reviewing your applications. I'm going to leave it open for another like couple minutes in case anyone wants to enter any questions into the chat pod. But then after that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and look forward again to working with you in the future. Thank you to everyone who entered a question in the chat pod. Not seeing any new ones popping up, I will go ahead and call this webinar to a close. And thank you again for your participation today and learning more about the North Carolina NEVI program. Have a great day.